Welcome back to another explainer, everyone. Okay, so if you're a media buyer, a performance marketer, or you're running a digital agency, you already know that managing multiple ad accounts can honestly feel like trying to defuse a bomb while juggling flaming swords. It's stressful, right? The stakes are absolutely incredibly high. So today, we're diving into a source that brings some much-needed order to all of that chaos. We're going to unpack the ultimate 2026 blueprint for managing multiple ad accounts efficiently, scaling your operations safely, and avoiding those literally sleep-depriving, cascading platform bans. Okay, let's dive right into our syllabus for today and see exactly how we'll untangle this whole multi-account mess step by step. We're covering the multi-account complexity trap, the absolute foundation of account isolation, platform-specific management, systems, teams, and tools, and finally, budgets and ban prevention. Let's get into it. Starting off with Section 1, the multi-account complexity trap and those invisible risks of scaling. So if you've ever tried manually managing even 3 or 4 ad accounts for different clients, you already know the complexity just compounds exponentially. It isn't just about keeping campaigns straight anymore, it's about pure survival. And what's really fascinating here is how the source material actually exposes the invisible trust and integrity systems that platforms like Facebook, Google, and TikTok are using right now to detect coordinated behavior. They are constantly, and I mean constantly, looking behind the scenes. They're scanning for shared IP addresses, identical browser fingerprints, shared payment methods, and even your specific behavioral patterns. If they link your accounts together, well, you've got a massive operational risk on your hands. Which brings us to the million-dollar question we all have to face. How do you stop a single ban from burning down your entire agency? Because think about it. A policy violation in just one client's account can cause these platforms to audit, restrict, or just completely ban every single other linked account you touch. And look, we can't rely on luck here. Hoping we don't get caught in some random algorithmic sweep or, I don't know, burning sage over our laptops isn't a strategy. We need a definitive, highly technical solution. So let's move right into Section 2, which builds our ultimate defense mechanism, the foundation of account isolation, and building your digital firewall. Now, before we even think about touching workflows or optimization tools, this blueprint emphasizes one absolutely foundational concept: account isolation. It's essentially a digital firewall. It uses cloud browser platforms like Sendwin to create completely sandboxed, totally separate environments, each with its own unique fingerprint for every single ad account. This firewall is exactly what completely eliminates that nasty cross-contamination between platforms and your different client accounts. The real crucial point here is that professional agencies are actually using platforms like Send.Win to literally show Meta, Google, or TikTok a completely different device and IP address for every single client. Just look at the professional standards we're talking about here. You get a unique browser fingerprint per session, you get fully isolated cookies, so there is zero data bleed whatsoever, a dedicated proxy, which means a totally different IP for each client, and persistent sessions. Honestly, that last one is a huge game changer because it means your team doesn't have to trigger those highly suspicious daily logins. It literally stops algorithm bans in their tracks because the platforms just simply cannot link the accounts together. All right, now that our digital isolation foundation is completely locked down, let's transition to Section 3, platform-specific account management, where we'll navigate the very unique quirks of Meta, Google, and TikTok. You see, each platform has its own architecture and its own hidden landlines. On Meta, for instance, you absolutely want just one business manager per client, keeping in mind that maximum of 25 default accounts. And here is the absolute cardinal rule across Meta, Google, and TikTok. Seriously, write this down. Never, ever share credit cards or payment methods across unrelated accounts. Doing that is basically the fastest possible way to trigger a linking algorithm. For Google, you want to centralize your clean accounts in an MCC, a manager account. But notice that last point. For both Google and TikTok, you must always use your isolated cloud sessions for any high-risk accounts or an account that has a past policy violation. With our platform safely isolated, we can finally shift from basic survival mode over to scaling mode. Section 4, systems, teams, and tools for organizing the chaos. Okay, this right here brilliantly illustrates what the Bide calls the account registry. Look, if an agency doesn't have one of these, the source material makes it crystal clear you need to build one today. It's basically a mandatory Google Sheet or Notion database that visually tracks the exact platform, the account ID, and the specific isolated Sendwin session for every single client. Like, notice how Acme Corp has completely different isolated profiles for Facebook and TikTok, even though they're using the exact same payment method? This registry is exactly how you map out your entire agency's operations so absolutely nothing slips through the cracks. And building right on top of that organization, we have perfect campaign naming conventions. Look at this structure. Acme underscore FB underscore pros underscore conf underscore 2026 Q2. Now, I know what you're thinking, but strict naming conventions like this aren't just for neatness or, satisfying your inner perfectionist. When you are managing dozens of accounts, having this exact structure saves hours, literally hours, of cross-account reporting and analytics work. Anyone on your team should be able to know exactly what the campaign is doing just by glancing at the title. So how does a media buyer actually manage all of this day-to-day? Well, let's walk through the daily operations workflow of an optimized media buyer. At 8 a.m., you've got your morning check for overnight alerts. 9 a.m. is priority triage. That's for dealing with restricted accounts or any urgent fires. 10 a.m. is your dedicated optimization block for bids, budgets, and audiences. Then at 1 p.m., you dive into deep work on new campaign builds and A/B tests. Finally, 5 p.m. is the end-of-day review to ensure budget pacing is perfectly on track. With this specific structured schedule, one experienced buyer can comfortably and efficiently manage about 8 to 15 accounts. Of course, they don't do all that alone. They rely on a highly proven tech stack. For access and isolation, you've got your Meta VMs, Google MCCs, and Sendwin. For campaign optimization, the pros lean heavily on AI tools. We're talking MagicX, RevealBot, or Optimizer. And for reporting and multi-touch attribution, you're looking at heavy hitters like Supermetrics, Databox, Triple Whale, or Northbeam. Now, you definitely don't need every single tool listed here, but you do need at least one really solid player in each of these three categories. Finally, we need to tackle the financial mechanics and the inevitable reality of handling account restrictions. Let's look at Section 5, Budgets and Ban Prevention, Protecting the ROI. The absolute crucial takeaway here is this exact threshold, 15%. If a client's daily budget pacing is more than 15% over or under your expected spend, you must investigate it immediately. Honestly, you should set up automated budget rules right in your ad platforms just to catch this. If you're under-delivering at month end, you loosen up the targeting. If you're over-delivering, you decrease daily budgets and just pause the low performers. But whatever you do, never let a client go significantly over budget. I'm telling you, it destroys client trust way faster than bad performance ever will. Another really critical financial rule is exactly how you warm up new accounts. Let me be clear, the platforms absolutely hate sudden spikes in ad spend from a brand new entity. So to combat this, the blueprint highly recommends starting your spend extremely low. We're talking just $20 to $50 per day. Then you slowly scale up by increasing that budget by only 20% weekly. Yes, it takes patience, for sure, but it completely prevents those sudden automated algorithm bans that hit the second a new account tries to drop $500 on day one. But, let's be real here. Even with perfect prevention, ad account restrictions are kind of just an occupational hazard in this industry. When it happens, and it will, here is your official ban response protocol. Step 1, strictly identify the specific policy violation they cited. Step 2, audit all active creatives and landing pages against that policy. Step 3, and this is vital, remove the violating ads immediately, even from other accounts. Do not wait on this. And finally, Step 4, submit an appeal detailing your exact corrective actions. Pre-screen your ads heavily, obviously, but when a restriction does happen, you need to follow this systematic protocol to the absolute letter. All right, let's take a step back and compare just how far we've come. The old way? Well, that's managing accounts in constant fear of cascading bans, dealing with super messy data spreadsheets, and tangling up passwords across your entire team. It's stressful, it's risky, and it's totally manual. The 2026 way, however, is built on a rock-solid, secure, scalable foundation. It uses isolated cloud sessions, automated optimization rules, and frankly, it gives you a scalable peace of mind. It's all about taking a chaotic hustle and turning it into a clean, totally repeatable science. Which leaves us with this final provocative thought. Is your agency's account structure actually built on a scalable science? Or are you just waiting for one ban to completely topple the whole house of cards? It's time to stop gambling with your clients' accounts and your agency's future. Start using these blueprints. Isolate your environments, structure your registries, and scale cleanly. Thank you so much for exploring this ultimate guide with me on today's Explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.